7 years. It has been 7 long years since I last visited the Tsokar Lake in Ladakh during winter and created my popular series Living with the Changpas. Back in the winter of 2019, I hiked and checked my way to the Tsokar Lake to spend time with the nomads there. I slept in my tent and spent the day in the Rebo, the nomadic home of the shepherds. It was one of the most incredible experiences of my life, something that I will remember and cherish forever. 7 years later, I revisited the nomads of the Tsokar Lake this winter. This time, I went there in my Rebo, the name I have given to my Jimny, which means a nomad's home. It was definitely a lot more comfortable to travel in my car this time as compared to hiking and hitchhiking 7 years back. And sleeping in my car during the cold winter nights were a lot more comfortable compared to sleeping in a tent. While the car was definitely more comfortable, the downside was that I lost a bit of the close interaction that I used to have with the nomads when I went there on foot and had no other option but to live and eat with the nomads. In other words, I've become a bit more antisocial after I got my car. Having a car allowed me to visit many remote settlements along the Tsokar Lake. My first visit was to Churgok, a Tibetan nomadic village on the far shores of the Tsokar Lake, which would have been very difficult for me to visit by foot. The Tibetans here are refugees who fled to India in the 1950s during the Chinese invasion of Tibet. They have made their home here in Rupshu, coexisting with the Ladakhi nomads of the region. A lot of changes have happened in these settlements since I last visited 7 years back. I was surprised that there were no yaks or demos at the Churgok camp, and when I asked the nomads about it, they told me that they did not have enough people in their camp to look after the yaks and demos, in addition to the large herds of sheep and goats. So they collectively made the decision to stop raising cattle and only focus on the sheep and goats, which are their main source of income. The Ladakhi nomads were affected by the changes as well. The Nanjangrak settlement, for example, had about 12 families when I visited in 2019, but now there are only 7 to 8 families living there, with a few more planning to leave in the next few years. Fortunately, the Ladakhi nomads of Tsokar still keep their yaks and dimos, and it was a spectacular sight to see them being taken out to graze every day along the frozen shores of the Tsokar lake. While I took a lot of photos and videos during my first visit here 7 years back, this time, however, I barely took any pictures, especially close-ups at the Changpa camp. Perhaps it is because all these scenes have become too familiar for me that I didn't feel like capturing something that I have captured before, or maybe I've just become more shy and distant in the last 7 years. One thing that I did not feel shy about, however, was taking pictures of kids. I was lucky to visit during the winter holidays when all the kids were home visiting their parents. They would all go back to their boarding schools at the beginning of March and won't come back here again till next winter, so my timing was just perfect. I was a welcome distraction for the kids as well. They all loved to visit my car and spend time hanging out with me whenever they had the chance. कैसा है बोलो? नहीं नहीं कैसा है? टेस्टी है? ठीक है. So I made 4 rotis for myself and some kids came to visit my car. So I gave them like 2 and I'm eating 2 now.
और हमारे आपका गोटी तो
मजा है कैसा है
ऐसा मजा लगता है ना वो यहाँ में तो गर्मी आता है ना वो कैसा आता है
हवा नहीं है ना पूरा बंद करो फिर पैक हो जाता है फिर हवा नहीं आता है ना फिर गर्म होता है Their main attraction however was my drone. Like kids everywhere, they were fascinated by the drone and would constantly ask me to fly it and then take turns at flying it a little bit themselves. I, for my part, was very curious about what the kids thought of this nomadic way of life and if they would like to continue in their parents' footsteps. The kids, however, either wanted to serve in the army, become a monk or a nun, drive a taxi, or do just about anything apart from becoming a nomadic shepherd like their parents.
जिगमत नमदोल बोलता है
जिगमत
नमदोल
नमदोल ओह जिगमत नमदोल कहाँ पढ़ता है एसोस में किस क्लास में पढ़ता है 2 क्लास में हाँ फिर बड़ा होकर क्या करना है
बड़ा होके करना है
आर्मी में जाना है कौन आर्मी में है तुम्हारे फैमिली में
ये काला जैसा यहाँ
नहीं कोई है मम्मी या असंग आर्मी में है ओ कहाँ है अभी
वो टंग नीचे में
हाँ आर्मी में जाना है
ऐसा नक्को जैसा ना ऐसा सा में छुपता है ना ऐसा छुप के हम चाकू लेके उसको मार देगा ना
It will be interesting to see what will happen to this region a few years down the line, with the kids all wanting to pursue other opportunities and with the existing nomads getting older, we will see more and more families quit this nomadic way of life and move back to the villages around Leh to live a more settled life. The pashmina wool that is obtained from the goats of Changtang is too rare and too precious for this way of life to disappear completely. So going forward, we will probably see more and more hired laborers used to take care of the livestock under the supervision of the Changpas. This seems to be the only possible way that this lifestyle could continue into the future. One other highlight of my trip to the Tsokar Lake this winter was the wildlife. Lots and lots of wildlife. I have always seen wolves and kiangs around the Tsokar Lake on my previous visits. But what surprised me this time was the sheer number of animals that I was able to spot. I would regularly see herds of kiangs over 100 strong grazing on the grasslands surrounding the lake. And if that was a rare sight, I was able to see wolves feeding on a carcass very close to where I was camping in my car. Looking out the window of my car, I suddenly saw a wolf eating a kiang carcass. Just maybe like a couple of meters, 100 meters in front of me. These were the same wolves that I saw last evening. Kind of a black one and a brown or a grey one. It's amazing. And now some vultures have also joined the party. It's amazing. Normally, I would see 2 or 3 wolves hanging out together at different parts of the lake. But my personal record was spotting 5 wolves together one evening when I was driving from the Polo Gonkola Pass towards the Tsokar Lake. And that for me was definitely the highlight of my trip to Tsokar this winter, along with the numerous beautiful drone shots of the nomads taking their animals out to graze along the frozen shores of the Tsokar Lake.